Hi everyone, this is Christa Clark with artisticvegan.com, and I am joined today with Vetra of vetrafitness.com. She's a renowned yoga instructor, and I actually enjoy her yoga videos myself. And we are here today with a holiday special, and we are going to talk about the seasons and how you can avoid stress and still enjoy the weather even if it is cold. So Erica, you're exposed to a lot of people. They come into your yoga class and you get exposed to them in the town of Ithaca. You mentioned that you were feeling the stress from others and the holidays this season. Do you have any advice for them from your yoga perspective on how to be kind to yourself this season and how to release that stress and enjoy the moment more than being caught up in what you have to get for everyone, for instance?
Yeah, definitely. Actually, so that's been something that's coming up a lot in the past few weeks that I see every year really around the holidays between Thanksgiving and Christmas and really New Year's too. So living in Ithaca is interesting because it's a big college town. So a lot of our community, a lot of parts of the community are pretty heavily influenced by like the student life rhythm and the academic calendar and stuff like that. And it shows up in the studio as a lot more sort of unpredictability. Classes can be larger or smaller or just different in nature because, you know, certain people, they've got finals or they're leaving town or other people are coming in to visit. And so the natural flow of things is just kind of disrupted, which is neither here nor there. It just means that it can add to some of the static that comes into our heads. And something that I've been realizing with myself is that I have absorbed a lot of that new and frantic energy almost without realizing it. And so when I get home at the end of the day, I'm a lot more tired than I normally am. And, you know, and then you add to it, like you said, Christa, like the, you know, Christmas shopping or travel plans or getting ready for family to come into town, planning menus, all that stuff. I and other people probably start to get caught up in like, oh man, I've got, you know, so many things to do, so many things on my list. I really need to make sure that I get everything done in time. And I guess what I've been trying to tell myself as well as my students is that the things that are most important to you are going to stay most important to you, and it's easy to get overwhelmed. It's easy to get kind of like, you know, just kind of bulldozed by everything. And I think it's nice to be able to take a step back and realize, you know, even if you were to make a list in your head or on a piece of paper of like, you know, the 5 top priorities that you want to keep in mind over the holidays, and that's going to be, you know, obviously different for everybody. Something that helped me is to really think, what's the point of the holiday season? You know, regardless of what your spiritual, religious, family beliefs might be, what is the main focus? What is your main focus of this sort of like Thanksgiving, Christmas, Hanukkah, New Year's time? And for me personally, it's about being near family. It's about enjoying the people that are close to me and trying to just give out as much positive energy as I can, and just remember, and I've said this so many times before, and I feel bad because I say it so many times, but it's a good reminder for myself. I really do believe that what we put out is a reflection of what we get back, and vice versa. And so if we are receiving all of this sort of like, you know, crazy static energy and you know, things are just flying at us out of all directions, if we can try to take that and not give it back out, I think it'll help minimize some of the noise that's going on. So I try to work on keeping an open space in my mind and in my physical body, yoga helps, to create sort of a buffer between the stuff that's going on outside and the stuff that's going on inside. And that kind of works in tandem with keeping my top priorities in my head at all times, you know, and you can sort of go through the day and ask yourself, like, am I acting from a place of compassion? Are my actions reflecting the things that are most important to me? Or am I just kind of running around like driving myself crazy because I feel like I need to buy more groceries when, you know, when maybe it's not that serious, you know? And the point of it all is, at least for me and maybe for others, is that it's a time to be with friends and family, and it's a time to connect. And that doesn't have to be just specific to the holiday season. That can be anytime. So it doesn't matter as much what you have on the table, your decorations look like, or anything like that. What really matters more is the intention behind it. If you're ever finding like you're sacrificing your peace of mind and then consequently your treatment of others because you're trying to get stuff done, I mean, probably the bottom line is you're trying to get stuff done because you want to make those people happy. So
right.
One foot on the gas, one foot on the brake, you know?
Right.
So it's just kind of check yourself. You can calm down that frantic, that hyperactivity.
Yeah, absolutely. And I totally agree with starting from a place of that frantic energy and then putting it out there, then you're probably going to get that back from others versus taking the moment. Even if you're super busy, you can stop and take a real big deep breath, and even just that can reset the nerves and make things better. Taking a little time for yourself can really help the way you feel, no matter how busy you are, even if it's a bubble bath or your favorite cup of hot cocoa, and savoring that moment, so that way when you come out with others, you come from a more compassionate place. And like you said, how do you want to be remembered with your loved ones? Maybe in your mind you got everything done, but maybe what they experienced was a hot, frantic mess.
Yeah. One of my friends had a really nice like plaque in her kitchen when I lived in Texas. It said something like "dirty kitchen, happy kids," or like "dirty floors, happy kids," or something like that. And I thought it was sweet because it's less about maybe the appearance or the outward sort of presentation and more about the journey and the little movements. Yeah. And it's funny that you said bubble bath, because that's the first thing that came into my mind. And that's also the first thing I've been doing when I get home at night. Walk in the door, go right to the bathtub, because it's just such a nice way to unwind and sort of like take stock and warm up. Honestly, living in upstate New York in the winter is pretty chilly.
Yeah, that sounds brutal. Yeah. We used to love to do like different spa baths and different mixtures of, different bath salts. You can give yourself a spa day. It's an easy way just to pamper yourself. We don't have a bath here, but we really want one.
It's tough.
It is nice.
Is it chilly down there right now?
We shouldn't complain at all. It's I would say like high 50s at night, and it actually gets up to like 70s in the day, so it's pretty nice. But you're toughing it out in the cold of Ithaca. How do you stay warm and how do you stay motivated in this season?
Baths help a lot. Honestly, if you can get to a bathtub, even just a couple of times a week will really sort of warm you up and loosen you up. And a lot of people will probably agree that cold weather can really like kind of tighten up your joints and your muscles. So it's hard to keep that sort of like expansion and openness that we all love and kind of strive for. So a bath can really help you sort of reverse the effects of increased tension. One of the studios I teach at is constantly heated, which is funny. Like, so, I mean, I feel like I want to move into the studio in these winter months, and the classes end up getting bigger because people they seek refuge in the warmth. So that actually really helps to get into a heated space a few days a week. The gym I go to has a sauna, so I go there a lot. And this is also, to be fair, I moved back here about a year ago. So this is really my first full winter that I've had to deal with in like many, many years. And,
wow. What other climates, or where were you before that? What were you experiencing?
Several years in Texas, it does get cold. I mean, Austin does get chilly in the winter. It doesn't last as long. Not like Ithaca, no. But it does get cold. And so, similar tactics, just stay active. Try not to let the weather try not to let the weather dictate your daily rhythms too much. Like I noticed up here, more than in Texas, the sun sets so early, and that can be really demoralizing.
I know. I was doing something yesterday and I thought, I'll be fine. And then it was dark. So I had these supplemental lighting.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So, I mean, even like putting a sun lamp or a bright light in your house. I've even, during the winter when I was growing up here, our family friends would have beach parties, and what we would do, we'd all get together in the living room and turn up the heat to like 90 degrees and have like beach umbrellas and bright lights and beach towels and, vacation drinks, not as I was a kid, like pina coladas and stuff like that, just to kind of get the feel that we were getting away from the winter. And that little things like that help a lot. So it does get dark, pretty early around this time of year. I think something that was difficult for me in the beginning was was just being back up here, because it's been a long time since I've been in cold, harsh winter. And so when the days got shorter, I started to get like, oh my gosh, I'm ready to go to bed at like 7:00 at night, and I don't want to leave the bed, let alone the house. So I think giving yourself time to adjust to a different rhythm of life is important, and acknowledging any feelings of like, oh man, this is not so fun, or this is intense, or I got to get up an extra 10 minutes early to like scrape off the car in the morning or shovel the driveway or whatever it is. Acknowledge that that's a thing, and that's a transition, like a valid transition to go through, and that it's not going to last forever, even though sometimes it feels like it is lasting forever. And a friend of mine actually in one of my classes last week suggested that we all make a list of things we love about the winter in Ithaca, which I thought was really...
Change your focus instead of, oh God, I got to do this, to being grateful for it.
Yeah. And at first I was like, well, that's impossible. There's not going to be anything on that list. But then, you start to think about, if I go grocery shopping and I buy milk or yogurt or, what stuff that has to be refrigerated, I can leave it in the car for a couple hours and it won't go bad, or, little things like that, like having a fireplace or going to someone's house that does have a fireplace, really comforting and nice. And then hot yoga is nice. And then, saunas and hot baking and things like that.
It's dangerous. Yeah. Dangerous season. Growing up at my house, like we had a big wood stove, and actually it wasn't that big, but it produces so much heat. It's amazing. There's different ways that you can kind of heat it up or make it nice, or
spa day for yourself, or you need to feel special. Like the other day I gave myself a pedicure and a manicure, because I was like, man, I never see my toenails. I mean, except for in the yoga studio, and pedicures and manicures are very like summery to me. So I decided to give myself a little bit of a taste of that.
That's funny. I did that a little yesterday too, just for fun.
A little self-care.
Yeah, just little things to make you feel good. It goes a long ways.
It does, yeah. And I've been following your site and your blog, and I've seen some really delicious looking holiday treats.
Oh God. Somebody stopped me drunk and said, you're not allowed to bake anymore. I have to stop, and we just got to do your yoga. So I have been doing your yoga, and it's been helping, thankfully. and it's definitely a baking season, and I just did an artistic vegan show yesterday, and it was crazy baking. But good stuff, muffins and healthy frosting and all that wintry stuff.
I didn't even know there was such a thing as healthy frosting. That sounds like a miracle.
I know. Well, they're all made with like cups of sugar, and I thought there's got to be a way. I mean, it's not like the regular kind, but it's still tasty.
Well, that's what I like about your recipes. They're the sweet stuff, and to be honest with you, that most of the stuff I try out from your website is sweets, because I have a horribly, ridiculously huge sweet tooth. But they're healthy sweets. I mean, they still taste indulgent, and there is sugar, but it's natural sugar, and so it's something that's like, if you're gonna have some sort of sugar, at least you get minerals and vitamins with it,
right?
And it's not processed sugar. And then all of those recipes are really easy to modify if you. They're vegan, but if you can add like other things if you want to, adding in different toppings. And I feel like it can be easier to bake the way that you do, because you don't have some of the variables that come with like milk and eggs and butter, because those are like huge game changers in baking recipes. So if you take that stuff out, then it becomes a lot easier to experiment with it, and I don't have to measure as closely and stuff like that.
You can dump things in, add a little bit of this, that, and taste it, and not feel bad about the eggs spoiling or something.
Yeah, and you can eat the raw cookie dough.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you can eat the raw cookie dough or freeze it. Have a little bite. Yeah. So we're really excited to try your new yoga video. We saw a shout out to Gerald yesterday. That was really sweet. And so we look forward to finding out what you said. We're both so curious. So we're going to do that later.
The highlight video of his that Zach made actually was where I saw that little clip. And
great job you did on that, slicing it together and taking all like the main points. I really liked that.
Yeah, it was great. I mean, I was one of those people, and there's a lot of them that I have been educating myself with on YouTube that have so much to say, and their lectures are so wonderful, but it's hard sometimes because some of the lectures are like, I don't know if Gerald has as long lectures, but anywhere from an hour to like 8 hours, and it's, and you want to go through the whole thing, but it's hard. It's hard to get through an 8-hour lecture or a 3-hour lecture or something like that. So it's really nice to have those highlight videos for him and for other people. And I was watching the one that Zach did. It's like a 10-minute video, and it hits hard. I mean, it's very like informative. And there's, one thing that Gerald was talking about your brain being a machine, and that the machine doesn't always have to be working, and that you can, I'm spoiling the thing for you guys, because now you're going to and you're going to realize what it's talking about.
So it's just me.
Oh, good. So it's still a surprise for him. But yeah, just talking about the brain being a machine, and if there's nothing immediately wrong, with the 5 senses, if there's nothing like palpably wrong, then you don't need to use the brain so much. And you can, and that's so pertinent especially for this holiday season. It's just like, where I read somewhere, was it like 90% of the thoughts that we have every day are not original. It's like we think the same thing day in and day out. Mm-hmm. And how many times do we find ourselves with just like the wheels spinning, mm-hmm. When we lay down to go to sleep at night, it's just like, like, what do I have to do? What did I not get done?
Right.
All this stuff. And so that was really helpful for me to hear him talk about actually, separating the brain from like the rest of us and being like, okay, brain, I don't need you right now. Go over there.
Take a break. You're in timeout.
Yeah, exactly. And especially like now at this time of year, it's been really helpful for me.
Take 5 minutes, maybe, or 10 minutes, or however long you need in the morning, a little time, and say, okay, this is maybe what I want to accomplish. And then you don't have to focus on it all throughout your day. You just kind of steadily get those things done. Or if you have an issue, you can think about it and then say, okay, I'm going to shut down now, and with the flow of the day versus overanalyzing every aspect of it.
Yeah. And knowing that like the more, a lot of our mental activity, like I said, is like recycled, and that sort of is freeing in a way, because it allows you to put it to the side and focus on whatever task you want to focus on. And you have the security of knowing that like all that crap that's in your head is still going to be there. Just because you're not focusing on it right now, it doesn't mean it's going to disappear. Right. And sometimes the thing, sometimes it's a bad thing. I'll tell students, like, all of your issues or whatever you've got going on in your life, it's going to be there when you get done with class. So give yourself a break from it now, and then you can come back to it with fresher eyes or a fresher perspective, or at least a little bit more energy. Christa, I actually wanted to ask you about gift giving in the holiday season, because I know that can be a stressful thing potentially. So I know that a lot of times we want to give the right gift or show our love with gifts. That can turn into a challenge, financially and energetically, figuring out what's the right thing to get for somebody and what kind of message do we want to send. Sometimes we ask ourselves, do we want to give something that can be enjoyed in the moment, or something that will be, remembered forever, more of like an experience? So I wanted to get your thoughts on that.
If you follow us, we're not the biggest holiday people. We don't do the Christmas tree and everything else. So this is actually the first year that I reached out and said, hey, do you guys want a gift this year? So we're probably not the best gift givers from afar. That way, when we moved from kind of a bigger place to a smaller place, we got rid of a lot of stuff. Our thought process about materialism or items is much different than a lot of other people during the season. Something more memorable or practical is often where we kind of fall into that category. For instance, he's got a birthday coming up, and I'm trying to think of what I could do, and I don't want to give away too much. But one thing that I often do every year is he's training me in structural integration, so I'll give him a structural massage. So that's one nice thing we can do. We can light candles or incense and just show someone that you care. And it doesn't even matter if you're not trained. If you just rub on someone, they're going to like it.
Yeah, that's what you give.
And you can do free things. You can bake something with your loved ones. You have little kids. They love to put icing in a little tube and have them decorate things so they can make it their own and something unique, or a gingerbread house. And it can be healthy too. Brussels sprouts and some sweet potatoes are delicious, or whatever you'd like. Holiday meals are another really fun thing you can do. You can have your friends or your loved ones come over, get together. I saw this really cute idea for a hot cocoa bar. I thought that was really cute. You can have hot cocoa and all the toppings and get together and have that. Or Erica mentioned you recently went to like a cookie exchange. So that doesn't cost a lot of money, and you can take cookies and exchange them with others, and then you get to try a whole bunch of different flavors, which is fun. Other than that, you can always do homemade gifts, and oftentimes a lot of people now, or at least I know as I get older, I'm not so much about stuff as much, like when I was a kid or whatever, but now it's more about the quality. I'm much happier that I'm having an open relationship with my sister, and that we're talking and we can share things. And I find that more valuable than a new spatula, or you know what I mean. So I think just valuing the time with one another, and that in itself, and seeing that as a gift. And I also saw a really good post on Facebook about, instead of trying to get so much stuff for you and your loved ones, if you live not a satiated life, but you have a lot of you don't have a lot of need, instead maybe buying some of those gifts with your kids and your loved ones, and then going out and giving to them and those that are in need, and then you'll remember that experience a lot more, and they'll get a lot more benefit from it than something that you might just forget about.
Right. Yeah, sometimes I've found myself, and I'm sure this is a common thing, you go out and shop for gifts for friends or family members, and you kind of get to the point where you're like, I don't even care, I'm just going to pick up something.
Right.
You know, and then it's
just to do it.
Yeah, and then it's just you're wasting energy and money on like some random thing, and you have no idea if that person's going to appreciate it, and it just feels, it takes the spirit out of it. I think like what you said, it's a great idea to have, to cook holiday meals together, have little baking parties. That's really fun. It like you said, doesn't cost a lot of money. You get to try a lot of different stuff, and without having to make like full batches of 10 different kinds of cookies.
Right, that's dangerous.
Yeah, exactly. Well, it's time consuming and it's stressful, I mean, if you plan those holiday parties for, before the holidays, then you and all of your friends can get your baking done together, take a Sunday afternoon or something like that. And that eliminates the need for you to, be rushing home every day to make a different batch of cookies or pie or whatever.
Yeah.
Something my mom told me when I was, she told me it recently, but it was about when I was little. So I grew up with I have one brother, and I'm very, very close with my family. As I've mentioned a lot in other podcasts, they're my absolute favorite people in the world. And we didn't grow up with a lot of money, but my parents made it a priority to take us on a vacation every year. And it was never somewhere like, crazy exotic, but it didn't matter. And I remember I don't remember, but my mom told me that the first time we were going to go on one of these family vacations, I think I was like 4 or 5. And the house that we lived in, needed a bathroom renovation, like badly. And my parents were really stressed out about it, because they were like, well, if we get the bathroom done, then we can't afford to go on vacation, and my mom was talking to a friend of hers, and the friend was like, well, Barbara, what, when your kids are older, are they going to remember the new wallpaper in the bathroom, or are they going to remember the trip you took to the beach?
Wow.
And that for her was like a total shift in perspective. And from then on, like, that's what the emphasis was on. It was on experiences. Yeah. And so, moving forward into, my family's had different types of holiday experiences over the years, but this year we're taking that to heart, and we're scrapping the whole gift idea, and we're going on a trip together.
Oh, fun. Where are you going?
Yeah. We're going to, you're going to laugh, but we're going to right outside of Vegas, actually. So it's my family has a variety of interests. And so we picked that area because it's sort of central. My family's all over the country. So everyone's going to meet. And we got a house outside of Vegas, and it's about 10 minutes from like the city of Vegas for those who want to do like the Vegas thing, and also about 10 minutes away from Red Rock, like conservation area, like Canyon National Park. My brother and I are like big like hikers and runners, and he's a big climber and stuff like that. So I'm really excited. I think it's going to be really fun. And so we all decided, we were like, you know what, we don't need stuff. We don't need to go through the stress of like shopping or, sending gifts, or let's just have an experience. And it'll be a bonding experience, a memorable experience. So we sort of decided to go that route, which we've done in the past in different sort of like permutations. And that's kind of how I've lived, is like live for the experience rather than for the physical object.
Yeah, no, my parents were the same way. Not a lot of money growing up, but they always made sure that they could give us, at least a vacation at the beach each year, or so something to, to go out and remember and to spend time with the family and have fun. And they still do that. This year they came all the way to Mazatlan and saw us, so that was really cool.
Oh, yeah, and that reminded me, another thing, like to kind of like decrease some of the stress and the noise going on during the holidays, and really in general, if we can find ways to limit our time on, electronics. My parents had a strict rule growing up, and this was before the internet. We all ate breakfast and dinner together as a family every day, no matter what. So it was just like meal times were like, you wash your hands, you come to the table, you sit down, and you have time together. And it wasn't like formal, but they were really like
every day.
Yeah, like just share with each other and spend time together, instead of eating in front of the TV or eating separate meals or something like that. So I think now it might be a lot to ask, because I know people have really different schedules and different sort of rhythms and stuff like that. But at least if you can say like, if we can eat together and we all put our phones in the other room, or like we turn off all devices and just, enjoy like FaceTime.
Cell phones, everyone's got their faces glued to the devices. We used to have them, but we don't down here. We could, but we don't. We notice when we go out that we engage a lot more and we talk a lot more than just being glued onto another screen, and it's a lot better. I was going to say too, another thing that is really a great thing that we just recently did, we thought about some of the accomplishments of 2016 and some of the things that we've done this year, and it just makes you reflect and go, just be really thankful for everything that you've done, and it gives you kind of a higher perspective of everything you did accomplish, and then you can even share that with others and share in that vibration and that feeling, and it kind of gets you pumped up and excited about the new year instead of stressed out about these last few days that you have, enjoying each minute and seeing what kind of dreams and passions can I pursue in the next year to keep this fire alive.
Yeah. And it's so nice to set goals like that. And then at the same time to remember that, to remember all the things that you have done.
Right.
And, appreciating the how far you've come at the same time as acknowledging how, wherever you want to go next is a really nice sort of thing to keep together. They're not mutually exclusive, acknowledging the progress and also the motivation to like keep going.
So how have your students been? How has their motivation been? You taught class this Monday, and how have they been doing? How have you noticed, have people slowed down? Have you had a smaller class, a larger class, more interest, less interest in the winter months? How do we keep our yoga practice alive this season?
Well, actually, I feel like yoga is like made for winter. You know what I mean? Because, you teach at a studio and it's nice and cozy and people really appreciate the chance to like take off their socks and like get warm and stretch out. And stretching always feels great, but it feels really nice when it's cold out and you can be warm and like free and open and just kind of like really get back into your body. In the summer months, you kind of live in that space a little bit more often maybe. But yoga is just such a pleasure all the time, but really during the winter, it's something that feels really great. So the nature of my classes in the holiday season has been really sweet. And I hope that whoever's watching this takes my classes agrees with me. I mean, I always love teaching. It's the best part of the day. It's the best part of my life, really. Like I'm coming today from teaching class this morning, and I was messaging you, Christa, earlier, right before our podcast, and I was like, I'm on such a yoga high. This is awesome. It's nice to kind of like gather my students together in the room, and they usually during this time of year they're walking in exhausted and cold and like stressed out, either from like traveling or shopping or taking care of kids, or people get sick this time of year, so people are getting over colds. They're college students and they're like on their last toe because they're just like studying, and they're just like everybody's kind of like I taught class this morning and I was like, how are you guys feeling this morning? And they were like, all of them were like exhausted. And I was like, okay, so we'll do a really challenging class, and it's just nice to kind of pull people out of that. And then because you realize that mental exhaustion and physical exhaustion are absolutely linked, but sometimes we get so mentally exhausted that we forget that we really do have stores of physical energy. You know what I mean? And so if you can get out of your head and into your body, especially during these busy times of year, it can feel so rejuvenating, and you sleep better. You sleep better, you get more done, and you have less stress. So my students have been really grateful and really wonderful, and as always, and it's just such a pleasure to just be able to like watch them go through the transition from the beginning of class to the end of class. I love your Powerhouse series because it feels like you're in that class. The one you did in the Flatirons, in the end, everyone ohms. And I actually got tears in my eyes. Feel the energy of like the group class and that group vibe, and it's nice. And I don't know, I feel kind of spoiled. Like I get to have an interview with my yoga instructor. Oh, it's just sweet. Oh, thank you for saying that. And I love sometimes at the end of class when we take the Om, and I don't always do it, but when I do, sometimes it's hard for me to do it because I get choked up, because I feel that's really the point in class where people, maybe they've been on the same wavelength for the whole class, but that's when it's like they realize that everyone else is also on that same wavelength. And it's just this really like a powerful, amazing coming together. And so I'll sometimes like, when you make the sound of Om, it's less of you producing the sound, and it's more of you receiving the sound from the people and the energy around you. And so all you're doing when you open your mouth and you make that sound, it's just everyone else's voice coming through you. And it's just, it gives me chills.
I know. I felt it the last time. Awesome. It's cool.
Yeah. Oh, and then I'm excited because I went over to my friend's house yesterday to make Christmas cookies, and I made some of the newest blog entry. I think it's the newest blog entry, the maple pecan clusters. I don't know if anybody else saw these on your Instagram or on your Facebook or website, but as soon as I saw them on Instagram, I was like, click screenshot, I'm going to do those. So I actually have them here with me, and I'll post them. But
Awesome.
we're 5, but I ate one right before the podcast.
They don't last long.
They don't. No, they're so good. And that's the other thing. They're sweet, which I love, and they're healthy. And honestly, they're these clusters of like, I modified a little bit. I added a couple different kinds of almond butter and a couple different, it called for pecans and coconut, and I added a little bit of like raisins and I think it was, and they're just like super protein, high energy, like healthy desserts, and highly recommended and easy.
I know. At first you're like, I don't know if this is going to work because it's falling apart in this clump, but then you refrigerate it and it comes together. It's pretty cool.
Exactly. And the other thing I like about your recipes is that you can do your batches are small, so I'm not like making like 100 of things, and it's not that I want to eat 100 of them, but I shouldn't, right? So
right, I know.
But they're easily multipliable. You can augment them really easily. Again, it's the vegan baking thing. It's like you can be less strict with your measurements because there's less of a wild card in there. So it's like super easy to make small amounts and large amounts, and it's very friendly for the person who maybe like me, who's kind of like a low maintenance kitchen type, like one pot, one plate, one bowl.
Oh, that's awesome. Well, thank you for making it. 2016 comes to a close, so does this show, and we wanted to thank you for joining us today. It's been me, Christa, with artisticvegan.com, and the beautiful Erica at vetrafitness.com, and we will be coming back in the new year. Happy holidays, and we love you very much.
Namaste.
Bye. Namaste. Namaste.